Kabelo Moshapalo, Senior Digital Creative Director at digital marketing agency Tequila. Welcome to the Red Zone.
Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you for having me.
Now, Kabelo, Tequila calls itself a future trends and strategic digital creative agency. Now, without coming across as ignorant, what exactly does that mean?
I'll have to answer that in two parts. So I think essentially, not to sound cliche, we like to approach our business as in how we approach our clients' business with this in mind. We basically do right creative for solving clients' business problems. Okay, so what that means essentially is, our marketing objectives do not detract from the business objectives of our clients. So the client comes first. All right, so the creative idea is not just doing a creative idea for creativity's sake. There's some matrix that we put in place to be measurable, and digital lends itself to being measurable. But with that being said, we don't want to come across as not challenging the medium, challenging ourselves. We believe in not playing it safe. So that means we do a lot of experimentation, but that's still within that's still within making sure that we meet clients' objectives.
We've also seen a lot of brands going to these digital specialist companies for help in the digital sphere with social media, etc. But not a lot of them can really call themselves digital specialists. How are we going to deal with this lack of know-how in this space?
I think a key part is its credibility. Okay, and there's industry bodies. I think earlier it started off as the Digital Forum, then it became the OPA, which is the Online Publishers Association. It's now known as the DMMA, which stands for Digital Media and Marketing Association. So with that body in place and having membership, you have that credibility. So companies corporates have to look at a credible source in terms of who they use as a supplier, and an industry body is there to regulate. It's not its governance, it's there to regulate, and they have mandates as well with regards to the skills shortage with regards to this sphere of the industry. So the skills shortage, what we need to look at in terms of the talent pool, there's an education aspect to it, right? So it's what the colleges are teaching to the guys who are gonna be future digital practitioners. And then there's also transformation, which is quite key as well in terms of who being more inclusive and allowing previously disadvantaged people to take part in this, growing that skills base. And I think another very key aspect is, and we've seen that growing trend with regards to brands themselves, brands appointing people who are digitally minded, so like digital navigators, who in turn, make sure that the brand itself has ownership of the digital properties.
So let's be honest here. Doesn't a bad social media campaign just rub salt in an already bad brand wound?
It does. It really does, and the damage can be really severe. And this is, with respect to brands chasing fans, chasing likes, because likes don't really equate to product sales or clients and conversions. So we gotta make sure that when you outright dive into the social media space, you have your objectives right. What role does the social media platform that you're going into play in the overall marketing mix that you have for your brand? And easily, we've seen examples where hashtags, which is the Twitter practice. Hashtags can easily become bash tags, where consumers turn it around, because as a brand you have detractors and you have loyalists, and detractors can really create the PR nightmare.
A lot of brands, or what we're noticing more, is that they're creating irrelevance for their brand due to just the inauthenticity of their messaging. And now we've got the youths who are literally going to become the next purchasers of our generation. Do you think that social media can play a role in garnering loyalty again, or are we just going to see more bash tags coming from this?
I think that one, I'd like to just refer to what my colleague, strategic director Werner Puchert, likes to call the brand health. So for every brand, there's building blocks, okay, and your building blocks that make up your brand. You have to make sure that the messaging is, the image of your brand is intact. There's integrity and everything else, because you can't fool consumers. You can't say one thing and do something different. And consumers see right through that. So as I mentioned before, there's detractors and loyalists. So with any relationship, you have to start from a foundation of trust, and obviously the loyalists will follow, and you have to use them to basically, alleviate the stress of the detractors. And transparency is key with building this trust, and making sure you retain integrity in terms of your brand image and an overall brand health.
So ultimately, you're using your loyal customers as unofficial brand ambassadors.
Yes.
Cool. Now, you mentioned that you were involved in the Newsome GT Academy. Can you tell me a bit more about this and what it did digitally for the Newsome brand?
So it was quite an exciting campaign. It's basically a competition where one lucky PlayStation gamer can become the professional racer. So it's just a demonstration of what Newsome stands for, which is innovation that excites. So on that premise, they have a partnership with PlayStation and Gran Turismo, which is the game. So in the game itself, you get to drive Newsome, the GTR and the 370Z. So it's quite a nice brand experience in terms of that engagement that it provides for users. So what we did basically is we created a platform, which was an entry mechanism. So providing, driving traffic to the PlayStation network, which is where users will then go and register, and also providing information on how to enter the competition in activations that were held countrywide at malls, and users could also go to dealerships and basically play the game. So we also wanted to create, quite a nice, extension of the innovation that excites. So basically, our web experience had to live up to that, and make sure that as a brand touch point, we are true to that statement. And we created a platform where we basically put you in behind the scenes. So what if you became a professional race car driver? You create your racing license, you picked your racing gear, and essentially what all this did was for the brand was leverage this innovation that excites and imparts it to basically all the products they have in the lineup. So the brand becomes cool, and it's this whole halo effect that's created by this one campaign.
Going back to the whole digital world, obviously you have a look at what your competitors are doing each and every day. What have you learned from some of your main competitors, from what they are doing in their success in the digital world?
I like to look at that one in like 3 parts. Okay, so there's a South African context. Okay, then there's a Africa context and a global context. So starting from a South Africa context, we got to be true to our market. We have some restrictions, as in bandwidth, internet access, and the online pool of people. And we're all gunning for the same fishes. So we got to make sure that we're true to our market. Mobile's quite a big thing, and this extends to the second part, which is Africa. And Africa, we see mobile being used. We have there's I think Goldstock has a publication that does research on these things, and there's a projection by the end of 2012 of 730 million subscribers. That's online mobile users, and all accessing the internet via their phones, via the mobile phones. So from that, we see how that goes into into health, goes into education, goes into agriculture, and these are like, it's meaningful things, meaningful things for African people's lives, now taking that into consideration and not forgetting the Africa context and the South African context, you want to be a global player. I think some of the competitors, and the space we want to play in is being relevant in a global space. Being relevant in the global spaces and utility, which is what those three things I just mentioned now: education, health, and agriculture. When you create utility for that thing, it's a global thing. So it evens out the playing field. It's something that is accessible, like in terms of easily digestible by anyone in the whole wide world. And it's things that you can on-sell to different markets.
So you've ultimately said that every digital agency around the world is competing for the same sort of thing, because you're all taking a little bit from each other, etc.
And I think it's the that's where the innovation comes from. Is that look at Google Glass, for example. Like Google Glass is Google's sort of virtual reality meets gamification experiential thing, where you got this device on your head, and it has social media touch points, but also has links to your day-to-day sort of activity. It's blurring the lines between product development and services, and it's just like this digital layer over everything, which is just amazing. And that's what's exciting about the space that we play in, is that there's those kind of inventions that are coming out, and all those are going to impact how we use our cell phones in the near future. The future is not near, the future is now.
So taking all of that into consideration, what do you think the digital agency of the future is going to look like?
So I'm not convinced we can call it an agency, and also the digital word is elusive. I think let's look at it as a communications company, okay? And a communications company basically will have people with different skill sets. So like experienced architects. Experienced architects are like makers of things, because when it comes to how people consume things or goods and services, it's gonna be a tailor-made experience. You find that already in social media. There's ads that find you, and it's based on your interests, it's based on that kind of thing. So they're not intrusive, and that has a better frequency of people accepting that than just basically canvassing and spraying and praying for someone to actually notice your brand. So from a consumer perspective, there's a consumer purchase decision journey that they go onto, and what you want to do is that there's going to be different touch points, and I think in the future those touch points are going to be really, really, really tailor-made for individual consumption. And with these tailor-made things, that's where it's stuff that we haven't seen before. It's like inventive stuff. It's stuff that is still to come.
Kabelo, thanks for your insights and thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.